So I go, you know what? Let me just shoot these motherfuckers. I went, I popped the trunk, I looked at the fucking gun, I had it hidden under the spare tire. I took it out, I looked at it, and I go, you know what? If I shoot that idiot and the other, because dead men don't tell tales. I fucking knew this. I fucking knew this going in. Here's why I knew even better. In 1985, I was about to leave New York, and I went to 148th Street to cop a bag of fucking weed. I was just up there, and my Santeria godmother is on 148th and Broadway, and I just happened to go up there because she would always give me $50. So I went up there, she's like, come in, and she's like, let me read the cards for you and all this shit. I hadn't seen my godmother in like 2 years because my stepdad had gotten into a shootout in New York, and she wouldn't let him in. So he told me, if you see that cunt, don't ever fucking talk to that motherfucker. I gave her tons of money and I'm shot and the guy is shot and he won't let me in. My father was from a different fucking planet. These are nice fucking people. They don't want somebody bleeding in their house. And I didn't care. I loved her. She was good to me as a kid. And she goes, let me throw the cards for you. And she's like, you're doing cocaine. And she didn't know me to do that stuff. When I ran with her, she knew I hated drugs and stuff. And she goes, plus, stop doing that because you're going to get yourself in trouble, and don't do business with 3 people. Don't ever get involved with 3. It's always got to be 2 or 4 because 2 people could always turn against you. Right there, all these fucking thoughts are going into my head. All these fucking thoughts they told me. I knew not to do business with these 2 idiots. I fucking knew it going in. The only way I'm going to solve this fucking problem is to shoot these motherfuckers. That's the only way I solve this fucking problem. I took it, I cracked that fucking gun, I put it in the back, I looked around, I knocked on the fucking door, and Tidwell was like, what? And I looked at him, and he was so fucking weak as a man. I was like, what would I gain from shooting this fucking moron and this other fucking moron that let this happen to him? He didn't even see the fucking score. He's so coked out. All of us are gonna get what we fucking deserve. But you know what? I still gotta live with myself, and it ain't worth having these 2 dummies' blood. And at that time, America's Most Wanted just started coming on. So I knew this shit, they would find you. Listen, if I ever done something bad and I went back to North Bergen, you have to come in there with an army to get me. Because I grew up with those cops, and they would tell me fucking everything. I grew up with the DA. The DA in my hometown just got busted for bringing weed from here to fucking to North Bergen. I grew up with these savages. It's in our heart. We're all fucking savages. At the end of the day, we are what the fuck you are. You could put a suit on me, a sweater, a stage. I'm a fucking savage, and that's just how it is. And I should have killed this motherfucker. But something was like, Joey, get in the car, go fucking kick that door down, and salvage those kilos, because hopefully this motherfucker didn't get it. Guys, he had a doorman and that whole thing. You know how when you walk into a building, there's a guy with a hat, and they open the door for you? When I got out of the car, the guy would usually say to you, like that time, he was like, who are you here to see? He could tell when I pulled up by my body language. He just opened the door and didn't even fucking ask. That's the body language. I didn't think about it till that night. Like that guy would have to, I know those buildings in Boulder. They had those people. They pay him fucking good, so they ask questions. This guy seen me come with his little fucking hat on, his little ice cream hat on, and he just opened that door and put his head down. And basically, as I was hitting the door, the Lord was right there with me because some lady was getting her mail and she was going in. So I went after her. I pressed fucking 3. I went up to the 3rd floor. I mean, guys, I went like a fucking like outlaw Josie Wales. There was no stop. I was like the Terminator. The elevator went bing, and I just went down the hallway. I went up to the door. There was no knocking. There was none. I had that piece behind me. I kicked that fucking door down, and I went in, and that ceiling hangs. It's a suspended ceiling. I got my gorilla fucking jeans. I jumped up and I pulled the fucking whole ceiling down. It went bam. Blood was on my hands. I didn't give a fuck. I was taking this coke and I was leaving town. All of a sudden I heard boom and there's dust. And I look over and there's this baggie and it was wrapped with Colombian newspaper, the fucking mother load right there. I sat there and even read what the weather was in Bogota the week before. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it was 86 in Bogota 2 weeks ago. Ain't this a motherfucker? Look at this shit. I picked up that coke. I put it in a fucking brown paper bag. I walked down the stairs like I owned the building. I went in the drawer. There was no cash in there. The grinder was gone. The blow was gone, but I had the fucking 4 pounds. I walked out of that motherfucker. I did an old school trick. I thought the cops were looking for me. I thought this guy was going to call the cops. I got in my car and I drove and I pulled over and there's those newspaper machines that you put a quarter in, you know those fucking things, idiots? That you pop open. Next time you pop it open, look at the bottom. There's a little stash down there. That's old school. That's where the old school coke dealers used to put their shit. That's why whenever I get a paper, I always look in the bottom. It might be a jackpot, you know what I'm saying? Fuck the internet. Nobody gives you a pound of coke on the internet. When you go get a paper for a fucking quarter, ba-boom, it's like Vegas. So pay attention to the important things, people, okay? So I said, fuck it, I don't want the cops following me. I hid it in there. That's old school shit. And I went home and I called my buddy at the dealer and I said, listen, go to that newspaper thing and just go straight to Aspen. I got a guy up there that's waiting for the 4 fucking pounds. Just take it right up to Aspen. I'll call him, tell him I'm on the way. Take it, sell it, and come right the fuck back. Get the cash. Don't get the cash. Have him Western Union it. I knew this guy for years. I said, just get rid of it. There's going to be a fucking problem. I took a little piece out of it. You know me, I had to celebrate solo. I took a little piece. I stopped at the liquor store. I bought like a fucking whatever, a beer, and I went home, locked the door, and I just snorted and thought of what my next move was. I didn't know what was happening over there. That night, about 10 o'clock, he knocks on my door, Tidwell, and he's like, where the fuck are you? I got a dilemma. I got to get this guy out of the fucking city. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock? I left you at 2. You didn't get him out. He's like, we got to go back and find the coke. And I'm like, we can't go now. The guy is there. He didn't know that I had already shipped the fucking coke. The coke was already on the way to Aspen. It was out of my possession. The scale was out of the house, everything. I fucking knew something was going to happen. I was just going to play it out a couple days. I was going to see if I get the money and fly out. I couldn't make a plane reservation. My plan was to drive out of New Mexico or Vegas or something like that just to avoid anything. He leaves, he threatens me again. I go, you know what? The fucking mood I'm in, you dumb motherfucker. You got away with murder before. You've been stoned and you're driving down a block in the Valley or in Hollywood and there's an idiot next to you on a bicycle and you're really high and you almost hit him and you realize you almost killed the motherfucker. He just don't know. He's riding with his helmet all fucking out. And you want to pull over and say, you don't know how lucky you just came to dying. You know what I'm saying? You ever get that high, you just zoom past the bicyclist and you're like, woo, that motherfucker don't know, it's his lucky day. Woo, I didn't see that guy. I definitely didn't see that guy, fuck him. That's how lucky this guy was. Like I felt like saying, you don't know how lucky you were, dog. I spared you and I'd spare that other fucking loser. Get the fuck off my balcony. By this time I got the blow in me, I'm wound up. I already told the girlfriend not to come down. I was gonna jerk off that night. I had to think. I had to go into deep fucking concentration about what my next move was because I knew there was heat. He left and some part of the night I just passed out and drank. You know, when you pass out, you don't even remember pass out. You just wake up and your zipper's open. And there's a phone next to you dead. Beep, 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 beep. My zipper wasn't here. I just woke up to, you know, one of those fucking things. And I go to the window and I look. And it's the detailer at the Subaru place, the in-house guy, blazing Brent, little fucking crazy Irish motherfucker, crazy. This guy would eat, snort pills and glue and banana tablets. This guy didn't give a fuck. He'd be back there buffing cars all day, just sweating. How are you? Good. He'd just be out there fucking sweating. He shows up. He's like, dog, listen, I don't mean to wake you up, but they got the fucking building surrounded at the dealership. And they're about 10 minutes behind me. They're in there right now. Wayne's fucking throwing them off. He took me in the back and said, go over and wake him up and get him out of here. I get dressed. I get my fucking everything. I kiss the dog. I feed the dog. As I'm fucking walking across the street, I see the cops coming down my block, those 2 fucking idiots, like a black and white and a regular unmarked car. And I cross the street and I go across the street and I call my girlfriend at the haircutting place and I go, hey, you got to pick me up. There was a problem with Tidwell. You got to pick me up as soon as possible. I didn't even know what had happened at this point. I just knew something had happened. The cops were looking for me. I fucking, after I hang up, I go for my weed. And you can't leave the house without your weed. And I had good weed. Like I was getting this Buddha Thai weed sent out from Jersey, that chocolate shit the Jamaicans smoke and dreadlock their hair. I couldn't just leave it in the fucking house. This is how crazy I was. I said, fuck it, I'm going back to get that fucking weed. I don't care what cops are waiting for me. So I walked like 2 fucking blocks, crossed the street and walked the side streets to my backyard behind, jumped the fence, went in the house. You know, while I'm in the house getting the weed, I look out and there's a cop car out there waiting for me, like an unmarked there. I got my weed, I fucking went out the back door. And I remember as I was crossing, there was another car coming and he looked right at me. And I'm like, this is not like a TV show. They would already had me if this is a TV show. What fucking kind of cops are these idiots? I just went and got my weed, walked around. So I get back to route, or King Supers it was. And there's my girlfriend. She takes me up to the house. And I go up there. And once I get to the house, I start making calls. And I found out Vela, Tidwell put Vela in the trunk of the car. He was going to drive him to Denver to take a bus, the midnight bus. But when he left my house, he forgot to put his headlights on. Are you ready? He got pulled over for no headlights on. And when the guy asked him for the registration, he heard, He goes, what the fuck is going on? He pulled his gun out. They opened the trunk and there's fucking Vela. That's the luck I got. That's the fucking luck. This is how deep God was gonna get me for this one. God was getting me. It all came down to fucking not turning your headlights on. Okay, food for thought, motherfuckers. If you ever kill somebody, put your headlights on. That's what I found out. It's in the paper. It's in the paper that they found them, a drug situation, and that my name was, they're still looking for a third victim. So I just stood up there for like 2 days. Finally, the second day, I couldn't take it. They lived in the mountains. I came down, I rented Above the Law. It was just out, brand new. And Lethal Weapon was just, that was the hot fucking movie on VHS, you know? So I was out of weed too, so I had to go to the weed dealer, get some weed. But when I go to the video store, my buddy at the car dealership said, listen, the detective came and gave me a card. You should call him. The guy seemed okay. He wasn't okay. It's good cop, bad cop. So I got the kid's number and I fucking called the cops. But I called them from a Kmart. And there was an Albertsons across the street and a Coco's restaurant. And I called him from Kmart, I want to talk to the detective, whatever. And he goes, hold on 1 second. Who's calling? Joey Diaz. They had me on hold trying to trace the fucking call. Boom, I hang up. I watch a lot of TV shows, dog. And at that time, there was no Discovery, there was none of that shit. We had 3 fucking channels, but you learn. After like 36 seconds, they'll fucking trace that motherfucker. So I called back again, and they're like, hold on 1 second. I hang up on them again. Again, hold on 1 second. I go, listen, you're gonna keep putting me on hold trace. I just want to talk and see what happens. He goes, this is Detective whatever, Jose. He goes, you got a lot of problems here. Just come in, tell us what happened, and we'll let you fucking go. And he goes, where are you? And I look around, I go, I'm at an Albertsons. He goes, I'll be there in 2 minutes to talk to you. I hung up the phone, I rang to my fucking car and just sat there. Within minutes, I seen fucking trucks and helicopters and fucking cops all bust into Albertsons with their guns, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm in trouble. I took that car and went back up to the mountains and went into thought. It was Friday, right? So I said, fuck it. The detective told me to come down, talk to him, and he let me go home. That was the night that Don Johnson was gonna marry Sheila Easton on Miami Vice. And I had plans to stay home and watch that wedding that night. I had the tuxedo, you know what I'm saying? I was gonna sit there by myself and just fuck it. Don Johnson was getting married. I was ready. So that was, well, should I turn myself in or should I wait till after the wedding? You know what I'm saying? That was the, and you the guys think I'm fucking with you. I'm dead serious. Like I had spare ribs for that night. I was gonna get Chinese food. I was gonna fuck my girlfriend. I had it all planned. We were going to a wedding, motherfucker. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck the wedding. I'll whatever, tape it and watch it. Let me go down there and talk to them. But I always knew that you don't talk to fucking cops. If you do talk to them, just talk about something completely different. If they ask you about a robbery, talk to them about the pictures fucking Mickey Mouse drew in 1958. Just, I don't know, you know, and they get thrown off and they get furious and then they can't have a conversation with you because they think you're actually like Tidwell, fucking half retarded. So that's what I always do. I just throw riddles at them, you know what I'm saying? So I tell my girlfriend, I go, listen, drop me off about 10. We had a nice breakfast. We smoked a joint. I go, I'll go talk to them and I'll be home by 4 or 5. We'll watch the wedding. I'll be on a few fucking hours. We'll watch the wedding, get what you were gonna get. Here's some cash. Let's do this. Love you, bye. I go into the police department. I gotta go into Boulder Police. I go up to a window, detective, whatever. They go, who are you, Joey Diaz? They go, walk in through that door. Walk in through that door. When that door buzzed and I walked in, every fucking cop in there put his weapon, get to the fucking floor. I'm like, you just invited me in. You know what I'm saying? How fucking rude are you motherfuckers? Throwing me, I didn't even wipe my feet, throwing me on the floor. They, get down, like all this dramatics. I was like, oh, these fucking idiots.